Hey everybody, Kurt with Hewn Handmade here, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about draw filing a barrel. This barrel is brand new. It's purchased from the manufacturer, and they come with kind of a less than ideal surface. It's not terrible, but it just needs cleaned up a little bit. You can maybe see here there's some striations that run this way, and also a little bit of a wave that runs along the surface this way. And those are just artifacts of the milling operation, because these are actually, they're made round and then put between centers to keep everything concentric, and then milled to an octagon shape. And that milling process leaves some machining artifacts along the surface, and that's what you want to remove. Some barrels come really well cleaned up, some of them don't. It depends on the manufacturer, and it depends on the specific barrel. But what you do is you take a file and you try and find, because every file I've ever bought has a slight bow to it. This one here has a bow that kind of goes that way a little bit. It's very, very small. It's barely noticeable, but they are not perfectly straight, almost never. And so what you want to do is you want to find that bow and put that side down, because you want to make sure that this is straight. It's easier to keep it straight with that slight convex surface than a concave one, and you'll be removing less material. And believe it or not, when you're finished here, the slightly convex surface is going to appear straighter and more square, for lack of a better term, than one that has a concave surface. To draw a file, basically you take that side. I like to hold it like this with the handle in my right hand. I'm right-handed. Not that that means anything, but what that does mean is that the way that the teeth on the file are oriented, it's going to cut on the push stroke rather than the pull stroke. I just have more control when I cut on the push stroke. You may find that you will have more control on the pull stroke. It all depends. There's no wrong way to do it. Well, there's wrong ways, but that's not one of them. One of the wrong ways to do it is to try and file a barrel like this. That's not going to work for you. What you'll end up with is an even wavier surface if you're lucky. If you're very unlucky, what you'll end up with is a bunch of square slots in your barrel, and you try to avoid that at all costs. But draw filing is simply holding the file like this across, basically perpendicular to the axis of the barrel, and then I just kind of use this hand as just a guide, and then you take it and you can register that flatness there on that surface just by rocking the file a little bit. You'll feel it, and then push it up, lift and pull back, push it up again. The reason why you lift to pull back is because if you leave it engaged on the surface and you pull backwards like this, you will fold over the teeth in the file, and that'll dull the file very quickly. Even though this material is relatively soft, it'll fold over those teeth and junk your file at one flat probably. So pull, when you bring it back, lift up, push it forward, and you can see that it just takes like three strokes, 2-3 strokes, and you've got a bunch of stuff in your file that needs to be cleaned out. I just flick them out with my thumb because my fingers are hard and calloused. You can use a file card, you can use a wire brush, whatever you have on hand, but you want to make sure that you clean out those teeth, clean out that top of the flat that you just filed, and then go at it again. And really, it's generally every 2 strokes you've got to clean out your file, wipe off the barrel. And you can see what I'm doing here is kind of moving up and down the file. So filed here, filed here, filed here, and then you just clean these out. That generally, all that does is just keeps you from having to pick it up every 2 strokes. You can get a few strokes out of it before you have to pick it up and clean it. But this is basically it. Just no pressure. Just let the file do the work. Try and keep things straight. It's really just learning the tool, but that's it. Now you can do this with sandpaper. You can get a piece of sandpaper, wrap it around the file to keep it straight, and do that, but it's going to take you a long time. You can see the material removal here is really fast. That's basically it. That's easy enough to do. You just gotta, it's just paying attention, take a good look. The lighting in here is set up such that there's a glare coming across, and you can see it, you know, right in this area. That glare coming across looks terrible on camera, but from my angle up here, what it does is it's showing that I got a little bit here right at the muzzle that needs done. Over here is looking pretty good, but it really helps. That glare helps me see these long striations and the wavy spots because they appear darker, and it just helps keep me on track with where I need to file. Now, one point is you take a long stroke like this. What you don't want to do is, if you've got an area that needs special attention, you don't want to sit here and do strokes like this, because what you'll do is you'll wear a divot right in there, and that's going to be noticeable. You want to make long strokes so you even out the work. Even if one part here is looking pretty good, but you've got some pieces back here that need worked on, what you can do is, you know, just sort of shorten that stroke a little bit, not too much, because if we come back here and we start doing this, this is going to fold over and this is going to remain straight. You don't want that. You don't want inconsistencies. Try to lengthen the stroke as much as you comfortably can throughout the length of that flat. Now, each one of these flats probably takes about 30 minutes to actually get smoothed out with a file, and that's prepping for sandpaper, which is, I'll start probably at 320 grit. I'll give 320 grit a try, see, evaluate it, see how it looks. I think it's going to be fine though. If I were to try and sand this barrel, I'd have to start at 80 or 100 grit, and then work my way up to about 320 or 400, and that is a lot of sanding. This goes much faster. Just these few strokes, this area of the barrel here is about 80% done. I'll go back and I'll kind of evaluate if any spots need attention, smooth those out, move it back in the vise, and then continue on down the barrel. At some point I'll flip it around and work on the back of the barrel. But that's it. It's really simple. It's just kind of getting to know your tool and getting comfortable with it. If you have any questions, let me know. Once again, this is Kurt with Handmade, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you.